Daitwayeko, Dean of Economics and Management, regarding his profile. Yesterday, I was looking for him to provide the profile, but he was not available, and we were already late. So I tried to find something through the internet, and this is what I provided. And later on, he sent me something, but it was too late. So maybe we will correct this next time. So without further ado, I should like to invite Professor Adipala Ekwamu, Ruforum Executive Secretary, to provide the background to this consultation. Professor, you are most welcome.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning.
Let me share my screen, then I'll make some remarks. Sure. I want to make it full. Okay, good morning, bonjour, everybody from Burundi and all colleagues listening to us. I am indeed very, very honored and privileged to talk to you this morning. As mentioned by Professor Juma, my name is Adipala Ekwamu. I'm the current Executive Secretary of Ruforum. Our secretariat is based in Kampala, Uganda. I would like to briefly highlight 4 issues. One, give a very, very short overview about Ruforum. Secondly, then focus on the purpose of our meeting today, talk about the United Nations Food System Summit, what it's all about. And then thirdly, I would like to end up with my expectations of today's meeting. But at the onset, let me thank the colleagues in Burundi for accepting to participate and to consult this dialogue as part of their national country's consultation. We look forward to hearing your own perspective. Professor Juma, thank you very much for all the efforts you have made to make sure this meeting materializes, even though the notice was quite short. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now briefly talk about Ruforum. This is an organization for African, created by African rectors, vice chancellors in 2004. By then, there were 10 vice chancellors who met, and they wanted to create an organization for African universities that could serve to provide a platform for the universities to network among themselves and with other actors, to conduct joint resource mobilization in support of the activities of the universities, basically training and research, and thirdly, to provide a platform for advocacy to transform universities for relevance, including sustainable development. They wanted a platform where they collectively could raise issues for the attention of policymakers and other actors. The second, they wanted to rationalize resource use in terms of taking advantage of the capacities in the different universities to build capacity for Africa within Africa. Importantly, they wanted to create a platform where they could collaborate to train quality human capital to support Africa's development agenda. So that was the rationale for the then 10 universities that met together in 2003 in Nairobi, Kenya, and agreed to found Ruforum which became operational in 2004. The 10 vice chancellors came from 5 countries, that is Kenya, with 5 vice chancellors who were there in the meeting, 1 vice chancellor from Makerere, 2 vice chancellors from Zimbabwe, 1 vice chancellor from Mozambique, and 1 vice chancellor from Malawi. So the forum was founded by 10 vice chancellors from 5 countries in 2004. But today the network has expanded and has a membership of 129 universities, and it is operating in 38 African countries across all the 5 geographical regions of the continent. Just briefly, let me highlight some of our footprints, the work that we have done together with colleagues in Burundi. One, at least, we have the University of Burundi as a member of the Forum Network, and I thank the University of Burundi for accepting to join the network. At the beginning, when Burundi joined, the emphasis was to support the effort of the government of Burundi to rebuild its human capital, purposely to strengthen the capacity of Isabu. That was the main focus, strengthening the capacity of Isabu. And this involved various activities, working with the staff in Isabu, looking at the issue of leadership, strengthening the institutional leadership and management, but also supporting the training of Burundi students in other universities, especially in Eastern Africa. And I remember we sent a number of students to Sokoine University. We also sent some students to Kenya, and also sent a few students to Makerere University. To date, we have trained a total of 15 PhD and master's students. The number is still low, and I think Juma and colleagues in Burundi, we need to work together to escalate this number. The country needs more human capital to support its development. We also have worked collaboratively with the people in Burundi to enhance capacity in technical and scholarly writing. And I want again to appreciate the active participation, especially of the University of Burundi. And Professor Juma, you have played a very active role in this effort. In addition, we have worked collaboratively with colleagues in Sabu and at the University of Burundi to develop various proposals. And to date, we have been able to generate a total of $5.1 million to support Burundi activities. We have done this not only as a forum and institution in Burundi, we have joined partnerships with other partners in Europe, especially, including those in France. And I want to thank the colleagues in Burundi for always responding whenever we have calls for proposal. Definitely in terms of proposals, development is always a very frustrating job. The success rate is very low, but at least we have been to date been able to generate $5.1 million. And if we continue working together, I do believe we can raise more money. With that, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to focus on the main purpose of our meeting about the United Nations Food System Summit. Colleagues, both in Burundi and all those who are listening, I think many of you are aware that the issue of food and nutritional security is very, very fundamental, not only to Africa, but globally. And since about 2003, the African Union put up a continental framework, the Comprehensive African Development Program, to help countries rebuild the agricultural sector, because in many countries, the agricultural sector is the main engine of economic growth. But even more fundamentally, the intention was to use the agricultural sector to address the issues of poverty and also food and nutritional security. Overall, we made substantial progress, but over the last 4 or 5 years, we have had actually an increased incident of food and nutritional security across the globe and Africa in particular. As a result of that, the United Nations Secretary General decided to convene a global summit of member states to discuss how best to address the issues of food and nutritional security, but also deal with other issues that are negatively affecting food systems across the globe. And it was realized that in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, it was imperative that emphasis must be put at ending hunger and malnutrition, and more importantly, to ensure that there is a sustainable and inclusive development process, and that we develop response capacity for building resilience to climate change and other issues affecting food systems. It is hoped that through this convening, that the global community will agree on key commitments and actions to be implemented. But it's also agreed that whatever actions are to be implemented, they should be inclusive, not leave anybody behind. Those were the main thoughts from the United Nations Secretary General, and they agreed to convene a global meeting which will be held this October. So what does the proposed United Nations Food Summit aims to achieve? One, it hopes that there will be an agreement to launch new actions and strategies to establish more healthier and more sustainable and equitable food systems. So the discussion that we are engaged in and others, the purpose is to raise awareness and create an avenue, a forum for public discussion on how best we could reform food systems in our countries, and so that we use the improved food system to help address elements of the Sustainable Development Goals. It's also hoped that through such dialogue, including the one that we're having today, we would come out with some principles to guide the governments and other stakeholders on how to strengthen and leverage their food system in support of the Sustainable Development Goals. And of course, for us, beyond the Sustainable Development Goals, Africa's Agenda 2063. It is also envisaged that, like through today's gathering, that we would agree on certain actions to be implemented at various levels by stakeholders, governments, other agencies to support strengthening food systems. The dialogue, it involves a series of dialogue at various levels, at individual, institutional level, like we would expect in SABU and a University of Burundi even to have this dialogue at their institutional level, and then to have dialogue like that we are going to have, just we're having now at a national level, and then also to have dialogue at sub-regional, continental, and then a global level. The United Secretary General has appointed a special envoy to champion the convening of the global summit. The envoy is Dr. Agnes Kalibata, who is the president of the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa. He has also created a scientific group to guide the process. The scientific group has come out with 5 deliverables, what they're calling action tracks. I'll be talking about that. In addition, they have created a pool of 100 champions operating globally to mobilize support and dialogues towards the Food System Summit. In terms of the dialogue, they have created 3 avenues, one for the member states, such as the one that we are engaged in today. The other one will be the global dialogues, but there are also independent dialogues, such as the ones that the forum is organizing. What do they expect from the dialogue? They expect discussion to center, among others, on 5 critical issues. And these issues underline the program that we are going to follow today. The first aspect is on how best do we ensure access to safe and nutritious food for all people. The issue of access, but more than access also, the issue of nutrition. The second, because we are confronted today globally, and I believe even in Burundi, with various changing consumption patterns. And coupled with this, there's a lot of food wastage. So the second track focuses on sustainable consumption patterns, including reducing food waste. The third element really is talking about our ecosystems, especially managing the environment to ensure sustainable food production systems, dealing with the issue of rehabilitating degraded ecosystems, and ensuring more sustainable soil functioning. The fourth element deals with the issue of inclusivity, and this affects various elements, including policies. Finally, the fifth element is about building resilience. All of you are aware today, most of you are aware that we are currently confronted with a number of environmental challenges, such as especially the climate change variability. But Burundi is also not very far. You know that Eastern Africa, we're confronted with the desert locusts. We are also having livestock pandemics and several other things. How to build systems that are more responsive? What capacities do we need to build those systems? Ladies and gentlemen, those 5 core areas underpin the program that Professor Juma Shabani has developed that we are going to use for the dialogue today. What has been the role of Forum in this process? Basically, our role, and that's why we're engaging with you today, has been to encourage African universities and other institutions, especially the research institutions, the advisory services, governments, in joint dialogues. So we are involving our member universities and partner institutions in a food system dialogue among themselves and with other stakeholders. We are also supporting national dialogue like what we are doing today. We are also supporting regional dialogue. The one for Central Africa will be held, I believe, on the 26th of this month. And I really invite you colleagues from Burundi to participate. I do believe that the rector of the University of Burundi will be addressing that meeting. We really invite you to participate in that. In addition, we are organizing some of the global dialogue platform for which again invite you to participate in. And I'm hoping that through other venues, and especially our governments, that we would also be able to engage in the actual UN food system dialogue. The other key element that Forum is engaged in is to foster participation of African universities in engagement with policymakers and key actors. We will be having a meeting on 27th of this month where we are bringing in technical experts from various countries to receive recommendations for considerations by their governments that will be coming as outcomes of the event, of the dialogue that Forum has facilitated. I appeal that you do discuss with your we call permanent secretary. I don't know whether you call them chief director in Burundi, that I hope the permanent secretary or chief director, especially from the Ministry of Agriculture, but also the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research could participate. This is on the 27th. It will be multilingual with language, with French and all that. We invite you to participate. Then on the 9th of June, there will be a meeting of African ministers. And again, we do hope that the ministers from Burundi, especially the Minister of Agriculture and Higher Education, would also participate. There will be a meeting of selected advocates that will include some of the former president, some others like Monty Jones, whom you know was our Africa's first World Food Prize winner. And then finally, on 1st of July, we do hope that there would be a summit with a few heads of states to participate and receive recommendation from us. So what is our expectations of the event of today? Number one, we are hoping that from the dialogue that we are going to have, we will be having received from you insights on the current status of food systems in Burundi. What are some of the underlying challenges and what are some of the opportunities? Second, we hope that out of this dialogue today, there will emerge some of the recommendations on those 5 areas that could be put forward as part of input from Burundi to be communicated to the summit. But a thought occurred to me, Professor Juma and colleagues. I saw your program. It's a beautiful program. You have brought in a lot of expertise. I would like to propose an additional work for ourselves, that at the end of this dialogue, Professor Juma, let us consider publishing a book on the current agriculture and food systems in Burundi. This is not for discussion now, but it's a thought for the future. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Professor Adipala, for this comprehensive background on the Food System Summit. We have enjoyed it. I'm very happy that you were able to suggest this idea of publishing a book. Myself, I had this in mind, and remember we had published already in the Reform working documents some outcomes of the conference on the launch of the doctoral school of the University of Burundi. So I think this is a very good idea to, have that kind of publication, and we will, I believe we will adopt it at the end of this meeting. So I suggest that we now move to the second session of the second part of this consultation, which is analysis of key drivers affecting agriculture and food systems in Burundi. And this will start with a key note paper by the Director General of ISABU, Dr. Alfred Niyokwishimira, and he will have 15 minutes to make the presentation. I plead with you that let's try to keep our presentation within the time allocated to this. The program is really very packed, and we need to make sure we achieve all the consultation, all the expected results, but within the time allocated to this. So it's now my pleasure to invite Dr. Niyokwishimira to make the presentation. You are most welcome, sir. Please go ahead, you can start now. I think DG Isabu has a challenge with
Is muted.
Please.
Okay.
Oh, okay, welcome.
Do you see my presentation?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Maybe you can go to show slides so that it can be
or I can just try to speak in English, though the presentation is written in French.
No problem. But go to slideshow
I will speak.
so that it can be bigger. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
It's okay now?
Yes, yes.
So actually, because I was expecting the representative of the minister to join this meeting, he was the one to present in general the main issues affecting food security. On my side, I prepared somehow focusing much more on the agriculture research issues that affecting food security. But globally, in Burundi, food security is affected by the same factors we can observe all over the African and all over the world. That is, of course, the main problems we may find are these, such as climate change, which is very difficult to control. And also there is a financing system which is very poor in Burundi as well in Africa and other parts of the world. But also in Burundi, we have very poor human resources. For example, here in Burundi, I may say that agriculture and the food security is highly affected by the lack of a good system of research. As a leader of this unique mandated Agriculture Research Institute of Burundi, I'm not ignoring the role of universities in the agriculture research, but in the Burundi system, this institute has a national mandate to conduct agriculture research. But in most of the time, you find that we do not have much human resources to establish a very good research system that can respond to the need of agriculture and the food security in the country. First of all, I would like to thank Rufarom, because from the previous presentation, I learned that they have helped much Izabu to in capacity building, such as sending some of our researchers to other institutes for training. And now we hope that we are moving quite well, where we see that by this time we can at least have at least 8 PhD in our institute and several masters. And also we have some students who are continue their studies at masters and the PhD degrees. So, but though it is like this, we also have some other. I would like to mention this because the minister or his representative could not attend this meeting. Country, in most of the situation here in Burundi, we still implement traditional agriculture using traditional method to agriculture. We are lacking no machines for agriculture. And when you see the demography, how the population is increasing, still using the traditional method of agriculture. This is a very big challenge. And also in general, in Burundi, the country is very small. We have a problem of land. Of the populated country in Africa. And we are still using traditional methods of agriculture.
I think the Director General has some challenges with his network. I don't know how we should proceed now.
Please wait a moment.
Because your time is also almost finished, maybe you should try to summarize or move quicker.
I'm back now. It's okay?
Yes, yes, but try to move quicker.
Okay. I was saying that we have to change our agriculture system. As I already mentioned, we have very limited land. So we must adopt new technologies to solve the agriculture problem and the food security level. As you all know, we cannot move when the research part is still have problems. Here in Burundi at school, because I guess the Isau is the most the biggest institute of agriculture research in the country. So it is quite an old institute, but when you look at its development, we can say that the development is not corresponding with the time. It has been revised in 2014 to improve the activities. So the mission we have is the research and innovation to improve knowledge and also adopt new approaches for research to develop agriculture. And the mission is to develop scientific issues on agriculture development in Burundi. We have a national mandate to coordinate coordinate all the research activities, all research initiatives, and technology transfers to the agriculture technology users. This is the map of ISAO implementation, where we have 6 regional research stations and 20 innovation centers, as you can see on the map. And we have many collaborative partners. As you can see, we have national partners. We also have regional partners and international partners. The main funding for ISAO is, of course, the government of Burundi and these other international financing bodies such as the World Bank, the IFAD, and so many. In crops, we also have export crops, and also we do work somehow on medicinal plant, and also we do work on the livestock, and also we are trying to establish another unit for agriculture product transformation, and also economy analysis, and also environmental agriculture. We also have laboratories for several analysis, and also we have a big department of seed department. We also have scientific communication and documentation, and also bioinformatics, and also service supplies. So in this country, to develop agriculture, we have, of course, some opportunities, such as we have the government, which is committed to support agriculture and research in particular for development, which also gives strength on agriculture. We also at ISAO, we have a plan. We have a plan, strategies for 10 years, which is being updated now, which is guiding research in general. So we also have the support of the government. We have the support from the government to develop new technology, research, and the sciences, which is very helpful to improve our agriculture system and food security. But also we have some other issues that are limiting agriculture development, such as we have very poor investment in the financing system. When you look at the national budget, the part allocated to agriculture is still very low. From the government, they may say that they have increased the budget, but when you look at the population we have to feed, the investment is still very low. And secondly, we have also issue about infrastructures and equipment, which are not adapted to develop agriculture and solve agriculture issues and food securities. And mostly we are lacking human resources which are qualified to conduct better researches and establish good strategies to solve all the issues regarding agriculture development and a food issue. Another big problem is that in Burundi, we are lacking a body, a coordination body to coordinate agriculture in general and agriculture research in particular. You can see that at Izawu, we work separately, and at universities, they also work separately. Until now, we do not have any coordination body, and what we do here may be not known by the other researchers at the universities. The same, we do not know exactly what is being done in the universities, and in my mind, I think as a national research institute, including Izabo and the universities, I think it will be better to work closely together so that we can have the same, we can move the same direction with the same objective. We also have another political issue. This is my own point. When I try to analyze, I don't think the decision-making politicians, they understand very well what is research. And when we talk about agriculture development, we cannot move forward without a strong research system. So
DG, I'm sorry.
This is
start concluding now. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You should start concluding now.
Another issue is how the researchers, how people working in the agriculture system are treated. Here I'm talking in terms of salary. There are too much problems that make our people not stable. Another thing is we don't have various researchers. You may find that like in livestock, like in industry, crops, like in the laboratories and technology, we are lacking human resources. Even at the universities, there are very few faculties where you find that we are lacking a lot of experts per domain. Another big issue is the climate change. We don't have a good system for irrigation, and we do not have in-house agriculture, and also lack a good system for food conservation. All these issues are very important for issues that are limiting agriculture development. So I'm not here to talk too much. I'm moving to the end. So we have some issues to do. One is to establish a national strategy for training human resources qualified in the diversity So we have to develop a national strategy for human resources development. Secondly, we have to review our financing system. And third, we have to make to adopt strategies that can help to adapt our agriculture in the context of climate change. And also, we have to identify the priority of research and also to move to market agriculture, not this traditional agriculture. This is all what I have to talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Now we have, according to the program, we have 10 minutes for discussion. So I know some of the challenges raised by the DG will be discussed during the other presentations, but we have 10 minutes for those who would like to come in now. So the floor is open for discussion, questions, comments, contributions. So you are most welcome. Just raise your hand and unmute and start. Any?
Prof, there is a raised hand from Romain.
Yes, go ahead, please. Hello?
Romain, you can unmute.
Yes. Please unmute and take the floor. Is it David?
May I start? May I ask?
Yes, please, Prof, go ahead.
I would like to know from the Director General of ISABU, the number of PhDs in ISABU and the proportion of women to male. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe we should take 2 or 3 more questions and then ask the DG to reply.
Sorry, I could not hear the 2 questions.
No, he's asking for the number of PhDs at ISABU and the number of women within those PhD holders.
Okay, thank you. So actually we have 8 PhD of them.
I think the DG has some challenges with the network, but still, we still have 8 minutes. Can we have other questions, comments? And then when he's back, he will address those.
Prof, there is another raised hand from Pacific.
Yes, please. Pacific, can you take the floor?
I'm
Pacific.
back.
Yes.
I'm back.
No, Pacific. No, he's not answering. So, yes, DG, maybe Pacific, can you take the floor? No. DG,
can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes, you can start.
Yeah, I have some observation regarding the presentation of DG.
Maybe introduce yourself, just the name and what you are doing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Pacific Batungwanayo. I'm a PhD student at the University of Burundi. I'm working on impact of climate change on agriculture production in Burundi. So as he stated that they do have a challenge of human resources in conducting researches in ISABU. So I would like to suggest that they can prepare, for example, a day for presentation and invite some researchers at University of Burundi or at the institution of high education, and they can we can just discuss their project, and also there are some student, master student, PhD student that can be interested in their project, so that there can be some collaborations and move forward with those challenges. So I think that will be a good idea for enhancing research at ISABU. And also, he said that there are those who are having PhD at ISABU, they can also supervise some master students to their project that they are conducting at ISABU. I think that will be a good thing in handle those issues of researchers at ISABU. So it can open horizons for other researchers in Burundi, because there are some who are working on projects, but they don't know those challenges that ISABU staffs are facing. That was my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just for colleagues' information, Pacific is a student of our doctoral school, and our model is that a PhD student should have supervisors both in Burundi and somewhere outside Burundi. He's working on a mathematical model on climate change and impact on agriculture. So his supervisors here are Professor Jean Dimubandi in agriculture and myself from mathematics. And he has another one at the Catholic University of Louvain in Louvain-la-Neuve in Belgium. He's now almost completing his PhD thesis with 2 publications in international journals. Thank you, Pacific, for the contribution. So we still have 5 minutes for discussion. Any other comments, questions, contributions?
There's another raised hand from Micheline.
Micheline, yes, go ahead.
Micheline, please unmute.
Micheline, unmute and take the floor. Micheline, il faut activer le micro et prendre la parole. Maybe we move to the next one. Micheline is not ready. Okay, actually we'll have another session, open session for discussion around 12:20 Kampala time, 11:20 here. So maybe we should move to the next presentation. Let me check whether Professor Bernadette is ready. Just give me 1 minute.
Yes, Professor, I'm ready.
Okay, so we move now to the next presentation, which will be made by Professor Bernadette Abonimana. You have, I will not read the theme, you know it, perspective on addressing emerging challenges such as climate change and environmental degradation. So you have 10 minutes to make the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
You'll have another chance when we open discussion before the closing session.
Okay.
So please, you can start.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Let me share my presentation.
Not this one.
Not
you have
this
shared the
one.
program.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
But it's okay.
This is the, okay. And now it is the good one.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. I prepared in French, so I'll switch in French. I will switch to French for the presentation.
No problem.
Okay. Challenges. Emergency challenges like climate change and environmental degradation. Je vais d'abord cadrer le contexte de cette présentation en disant que le Burundi dépend de l'agriculture et des ressources naturelles qui constituent la base de la majorité de la population, 90%. Et que c'est un pays d'une forte densité démographique et que donc la population fait face à une pénurie de terres cultivables qui se traduit par l'exploitation des surfaces inadaptées et de pentes très très raides, avec ce que ça entraîne comme dégradation des sols, érosion, baisse et même perte de la fertilité des sols. Cette destruction des écosystèmes naturels est accélérée bien sûr par le surpâturage et la surexploitation des forêts. Alors, ce sont des problèmes écologiques qui sont encore aggravés par les effets du changement climatique. Là, vous pouvez déjà voir le défrichement anarchique sur ces montagnes de l'est du pays, en province Ruigi, qui normalement sont réservées à des prairies et à une savane boisée naturelle, mais qu'on commence à mettre en culture sans aucune mesure de protection contre l'érosion. Alors, parlant du changement climatique et de la dégradation de l'environnement, comme on me l'a demandé, je dois dire que ces deux thèmes sont intimement liés. On ne peut pas parler de changement climatique sans que ça ait des influences sur la dégradation de l'environnement et vice-versa. Alors, je me suis intéressée au secteur qui influence ce changement climatique et là, je cite la 3e communication nationale sur les changements climatiques au Burundi. Comme vous le savez, le Burundi fait partie des pays partis à la Convention cadre des Nations Unies sur le changement climatique et donc périodiquement, il soumet ces communications nationales sur les changements climatiques. La première ayant été en 2015 et maintenant on est avec la 3e récemment en 2019. Alors, les secteurs qui influencent le changement climatique, celui qui vient en premier, c'est l'agriculture et l'élevage. Ensuite, l'énergie et puis l'affectation des terres. L'affectation des terres et bien sûr le changement d'affectation des terres et de la foresterie. Quand on déboise ou quand on détruit une forêt, c'est des conséquences sur les changements climatiques parce que ça va donner des émissions de gaz à effet de serre, les plus importants étant le CO2 et le méthane et les oxydes nitreux. Justement, parlant du changement d'affectation des terres, voyez par exemple comment une savane boisée vient d'être défrichée par l'agriculture et encore sans aucune méthode de protection. De la même façon, les secteurs les plus vulnérables au changement climatique, donc maintenant c'est le changement climatique qui influence ces secteurs-là. Ce qu'on vient de voir tantôt, c'était ces secteurs qui ont des conséquences sur le changement climatique. Encore une fois, en premier lieu, l'agriculture, la santé et la nutrition, ce sont des domaines intimement liés aussi. L'énergie. Oui, est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Oui.
Allô? Ok, très bien.
Oui,
le secteur des infrastructures, on ne peut pas ignorer ce qui se passe maintenant à Bujumbura. Vous voyez comment le lac Tanganyika envahit les infrastructures, les maisons qui sont au bord de ce lac. Alors, l'autre facteur, plutôt secteur qui est très vulnérable, ce sont les ressources naturelles. Et bien sûr, tout ça va avoir des conséquences sur le développement économique au niveau national. Alors, les perspectives en matière d'adaptation au changement climatique, là, je parle seulement du secteur agricole, mais si vous visitez la troisième communication, vous allez avoir aussi des options pour tous les secteurs impactés. Alors, au niveau du secteur agricole, vous avez le sous-secteur agriculture et le sous-secteur élevage. Au niveau du sous-secteur de l'agriculture, il est proposé de mettre en pratique de bonnes pratiques de conservation des eaux et des sols dans les zones vulnérables au glissement de terrain et l'érosion. Deuxièmement, de promouvoir, encourager et soutenir les stratégies communautaires d'adaptation, comme la plupart des ONG sont en train de le faire maintenant dans différentes provinces du pays. On a aussi parlé de la promotion de l'utilisation de la fumée organique. Alors ça, c'est notamment l'utilisation des engrais verts et du fumier. Quatrièmement, la production et la disponibilisation des semences de qualité dans les centres semenciers. Cinquièmement, développement et vulgarisation des pratiques technologiques appropriées aux aléas climatiques. Et sixièmement et enfin, recherche sur les cultures adaptées au changement climatique. Et là, les institutions de recherche, dont nous-mêmes, l'université, sommes interpellés. Alors, au niveau du sous-secteur élevage, il y a aussi des options qui sont proposées. Premièrement, c'est la formation des éleveurs et du personnel du domaine sur les techniques d'élevage qui respectent l'environnement. C'est très important. Essayer d'avoir une adhésion effective de tous les intervenants et des éleveurs en particulier. Alors, troisièmement, c'est la promotion de l'élevage des petits ruminants. En fait, pourquoi proposer les petits ruminants? Parce que les conséquences sur la production, l'émission des gaz à effet de serre de l'élevage, c'est surtout au niveau des bovins, donc des ruminants, par le processus de fermentation entérique du rumen. Là, il y a production du CH4, le gaz méthane, et c'est un gaz à effet de serre très important qui dure même beaucoup dans l'atmosphère que le CO2. C'est pour ça alors que la promotion de l'élevage des petits ruminants a été proposée. Bien sûr, avec aussi la densité démographique, c'est une proposition intéressante. Alors, est-ce que tout cela est mis en œuvre? Les mesures d'adaptation sont mises en œuvre petit à petit. Alors, d'abord par le gouvernement, depuis le PANA, le Plan national d'adaptation au changement climatique, depuis un certain temps, mais aussi avec le Plan national de développement dans différentes provinces du pays, et d'autres parties prenantes, notamment les ONG. Là, c'est par exemple les gens de la commune Gisuru qui ont élaboré eux-mêmes. Là, c'est une carte qu'ils vont utiliser pour le plan de gestion communautaire de réduction des risques de catastrophe. C'est donc petit à petit, mais sûrement, ces mesures-là sont en train d'être mises en œuvre avec l'État et la contribution de différentes parties prenantes. Voilà, je vous remercie de votre attention.
Merci beaucoup. Vous pouvez arrêter le partage.
Oui.
Oui.
C'est fait.
Avant de passer à la prochaine présentation, before we move to the next presentation, for your information, I would like to tell you that Professor Bernadette is supervising a PhD student here at the doctoral school on coffee-based agroforestry systems in collaboration with the University of Rothenburg in Germany. And I think the student is moving very well. He will soon complete his PhD work. So we move to the next presentation. This will be made by Professor Severin Sindaikengera from Department of Food Science and Technology, Faculty of Agriculture. The presentation is on perspectives on addressing post-harvest losses, value addition, and enhancing food nutrition quality for different markets niches. Severin, you have 10 minutes for your presentation. You are most welcome. Severin, are you around?
He has to unmute.
I think if he's not ready, maybe we could move to the next one and come back.
Hello.
To him. Yes.
Hello, hello.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's share the screen.
Okay,
share the screen.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you see my presentation?
Not yet.
Hello.
Not yet.
Not yet. Eh?
Okay. Okay, we can see it now.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead. 10 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. The presentation is there.
Okay, okay, we can see it, please.
Did you see my screen?
Yes, 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 go ahead.
Okay. Let me tell you in a few minutes the perspective on addressing post-harvest losses and value addition in the food nutritional quality for different markets. This presentation is really on 5 points which I will try to condense in a few minutes. I just give the current status of the agro-processing sector development, the post-harvest loss line in Burundi, and the economic aspect of post-harvest losses. And I will tell something on rural and technical regulation, and then the perspective. If we go on the current status of agro-processing sector in Burundi, we see that we still in lower level, and we see that the production, the budget, the big part of budget of the government is focused on agro-pastoral production, but the post-harvest sector is still low because there is many problems there. And in the last decade, we now know that there is some significant development of food agro-processing. If we go there, this is not good. Here I tried to give the post-harvest loss line in Burundi, beginning by fruits and legumes, vegetables. I will not take many times here because there is no some unit, plant units for agro-processing of fruit and vegetables. And also there is another factories. There is no problem. There we go. This is not necessary now. For also cereals, I give this. There is no problem. For tubers, I give some plant units to process this. But now also for livestock products, the plant for this, which is necessary now, is the economic aspects of post-harvest losses, because there is many steps to get these post-harvest losses. And according to the FAO program, they make a study and they show that the many steps we can see that we can get some losses, and a total is around between 35 and 50%. And the processing techniques still very low on this level. And we can see about laws and technical regulation, this food processing, there is many laws decrease, like the decrease on fortification in 2015. There is many strategies, policies, and we can say now the policies, industrialization policies, and also quality, national quality policies, and also their implementation strategy. This is very useful for to minimize the food post harvest losses. If you consider all these problems, what is the perspective, the future perspective to come to minimize all these post-harvest losses? First, we have to stimulate the agro-processing investment, because in Burundi, the agro-processing sector, there is no many investment according to the private or the public sector. We have also to develop the agro-industry. And in the industrialization policy, which is also adopted by the Ministry Council, they focus on the agro-industry to minimize these agro-food losses. There is also for the nutritional quality, we have to implement this industrialization policy and its strategy, and it is the same with the implementation of national quality policy and its strategy, which is in process, because this national quality policy and its strategy focus on the condition, the hygienic good practices, the food safety, and in this way we can avoid these food losses, post-harvest losses. There is also, I think that it is necessary that we develop the national quality infrastructure. There is some structures in Burundi which are doing many things in quality control, in quality management, like a BBN, Burundi Bureau of Standard and Quality Control, the CNTA, the National Center, National Technology Center, also the ISABU. This is very good to develop national quality infrastructure. And it is also very necessary to sensitize all stakeholders to work in synergy. The three pillars of these synergy are industries, government for the regulation, and also the consumers, which are invited to give their ideas on the quality of food, for example. And also, we have to stimulate the participation of private and public sector in agro-processing, and also to try to stimulate this collaboration between academia and also another research center to make sure the research development according to the development of agro-industry. And I think that in few words, this is what I can see about, what I can tell about these post-harvest losses and the perspective in our country. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. I think before we open for discussion for the next discussion slot, we go to the next presentation by Professor Jean Dimubandi, Head of the Department of Socio-Economics, Faculty of Agriculture and Bioengineering. And his theme is Perspectives on Changing Human Demographics and Implication for Agriculture and Food System, Making Agriculture Attractive to the Youth. So,
thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor. Let me share this presentation. Can you see my presentation?
yes.
Is it okay? May I proceed? Hello, Professor?
Hello.
Yes, you can start, please.
Can you see my presentation?
We can see.
Can you see my presentation, please?
Yes,
okay.
yes, we see.
Yeah,
we see.
thank you, thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yes, I want to talk about this topic about perspectives on changing human demographics and implication for agriculture and food system, with a focus on making agriculture attractive to the youth. Agriculture is the cornerstone of the national economy. That means inclusive growth in Burundi is contingent on growth in the agriculture and agribusiness sector. A large majority of Burundi population depends on agriculture, and the agricultural growth drives overall income growth, particularly in rural areas where you can see that we have majority of people who are dealing with agriculture. However, decline in agricultural contribution to GDP is due to a weak global demand on the traditional agriculture exports. Think about it, coffee and tea. And more specifically is related to more productive sectors that are coming on board. Think about it, gold. Exports in Burundi now depends on gold. However, there are several constraints in agriculture sector, and they are both structural and cyclical. They can be summarized and grouped into 5 categories: agronomic constraints, climate constraints, technological constraints, socioeconomic constraints, and institutional constraints. On agronomic constraints, for example, we have small integrated plot sites, low agricultural productivity, low levels of investment in agroecological linked to farming and livestock systems, including the research and development. And we have access and the use of fertilizer, which is very, very low. And irrigation systems are really limited. The agriculture sector has enormous real natural potential, which has allowed it to maintain a relative balance between population and the production growth. And the most important potentialities, we can think about the abundant agricultural population. We think about native and indigenous knowledge of climate resilient production systems and livestock management, opportunities to grow a wide range of food and cash crops, abundant rainfall to ensure 3 cropping seasons, and a very important hydrographic network and deposits. And finally, we have a possibility to extend to our market for exports. But we need enabling conditions for investing in crop productions because they're really critical in our agriculture sector. Input supply mechanisms, appropriate and supportive policies, access to value-added markets and credit, public and private dialogue and partnerships, agri-entrepreneur groups, and finally platforms about multi-donors stakeholders. What needs to be done to achieve this improved growth, given the challenge outlined? We have challenge about facing, the agriculture sector, low agricultural production and productivity, infrastructures, food insecurity, environment degradation, climate and other shocks, and conflicts, unemployment and underemployment, especially for youth, and limited state involvement in the private sector-led agricultural production and transformation. The greatest opportunities and drivers for agricultural transformation in Burundi, we can highlight this agribusiness, private and public investment, contribution of skilled laborers in agriculture, women and youth who are really skilled, R&D management and agricultural innovation systems, technology adaptation, digital technology, innovative de-risking strategies, regional and global trade, and safety net and the risk insurance, finance towards really farmers. There are key issues for youth in the agriculture. We do, here in Burundi, we have really negative mindset about agriculture, and we have the employment and underemployment. There are many challenges in agriculture and education, and we have unfavorable conditions in rural areas and rural exodus, limited youth voice in policy making, and limited access to assets, and aging farming population. We can highlight really 6 ways to make agriculture attractive to the youth. There is really a lot of opportunities in processing and adding values to harvest, and agribusiness offers many opportunities for youth to find gainful employment along the value chains. To make agriculture more viable for younger age group, we do have to provide funds. But you cannot provide capital without providing knowledge and skills. We also not provide knowledge and skills without giving the right tools to increase yields. So we have to do both in a systemic way in order to improve situation. The involvement of youth in the agriculture. There is a hope that the next decades, rapid urbanization will generate rising demand for food, and more public investment and private arrangements will be necessary to provide food for increasing population. As I can conclude, we are facing really a high population growth in Burundi, and we do have high levels of food insecurity. I think it has been or it will be highlighted by someone else. And we do have a decrease in average farm size. We have very small plots of land, and there's a decreased income opportunities on or off farm in agriculture sector. And there is a need for diversification, and we need really making really agriculture sexy for the youth. Agriculture and entrepreneurship training should be a requirement in secondary and tertiary education. Government and academic bodies need to make deliberate efforts to incorporate really agriculture training into the current education system as a compulsory subject. And governments and donors should also promote conferences and seminars aimed at promoting really the study of agribusiness. I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ndimubandi, for this presentation. According to the program, we will now again open the floor for discussion for 15 minutes. So the floor is open. Questions, comments, contributions. Professeur, peut-être qu'il faut arrêter le partage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
So, okay. Maybe Professor Adipala, any comment, any question?
Not for now.
Okay, fine. So, any question, any comment to the first
raise a hand.
Yes, please. Yes, go ahead, Marcel.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Although my connection is not very well, I have to ask a question to Prof. Jean Ndimubandi, who has been trying just to analyze the link between demographic factors and agricultural growth in Burundi. My question is about to know what kind of effort the government have made just to change the demographic challenges into, I mean, a plus or bien into an opportunity to agricultural production in Burundi. We have seen that the government have created some banks for youth, and they have created so many cooperatives where the youth has been self-employed in those cooperatives. Is those activities or initiative of the government has an impact on what you have come to present right now? Thank you so much. Over to you.
There are some questions sent through the chat. I don't know whether somebody from the forum can summarize this questionnaire, otherwise I'll read them. One by Juliana Manda. I'm actually researching in the same field. Thank you, Professor, for this nice presentation. I don't know, on post-harvest losses. I'm actually researching on the same field on post-harvest losses on fruits. I would like to ask if there are any incubators to transfer prototypes of value addition from the university to the industry. So if this is to, I think, to Severin. So we can take these two questions, one to Prof. Ndimubandi, one to Severin. Yes. Professeur Ndimubandi, maybe vous pouvez activer le micro et puis donner quelques éléments de réponse.
Yeah, I was waiting for Severin to start replying to the questions. Thank you, Mr. Dean, Willie, Marcel. Actually, as you know, these banks and other facilities has been set up by the government in his vision for promoting the agriculture for the youth. But it's very early to think about the impact I don't know exactly when, but it was really, I think in 1 year ago, I think so. So it is really early to think about the impact. We have to go through and to see what will be, what will happen, yeah, in promoting this. Making agriculture attractive requires really cost of farming and doing business are improved. Yeah, while we have to think about the improvement of productivity, because as I said, we do have to use modern tools, modern inputs. It's not only the farms, but you have to think about really how to use the tools, how to use the inputs that you get from this. You can buy, you can afford from this fund. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe Severin, can you?
Yes. Thank you for the question on fruits and vegetables. The fruit and the vegetables are the foodstuffs which are among the more perishable. And in our university, we have a research center, just in the beginning of food science and technology. There is also a national center of technology, CNTA, in Burundi. And we are negotiating the collaboration between the all center which are doing research works in post-harvest losses. And it's better to get this incubator in the university, because this is among the manner which is really successful to get a result from these post-harvest losses. In Burundi, it is the same with the person who give this question. In Burundi also, many research work in agro-processing is focused on fruits, because it's very easy to get perishable. So briefly, I can say that even if we have no incubator in our university, we are thinking to get this incubation because in the collaboration with other national center which are working in agro-processing techniques. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Professor Severin, just for your information, there is an incubator here at the doctoral school in the area of agribusiness. And this actually has been funded by Reform, and we have established 11 enterprises, and some of them are at the Faculty of Agriculture and Bioengineering. I will come back to this when I make my presentation. Now, there are some people who sent questions through the chat. We still have 8 minutes. Maybe you can take the floor and ask the questions instead of me reading all of these questions. Professor Misago. All those who sent questions through chat, I think they can ask them, they can ask the questions. We still have 7 minutes for discussion.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
It's actually not a question, but because my connection was disturbed for a while, and I would like to know, is any question addressed to Isabo?
Not now, but we'll have another open session for discussion at 11:20, and this will take 20 minutes, so maybe
then we can continue, because
yes.
my connection was dropped. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So,
hello?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, my question was, oh, do you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, okay. I've followed all the presenters and they've all spoken about technical problems, but I think the development of agriculture and the development at all is a matter of, it's not a matter of technical problems, but also of cultural changes. And I think if you want to move faster, we have to address this probability of taboos and so on. That's my question. And now my contribution to reform the agriculture and animal husbandry sector. There is a need of reforming the heritage tradition, which wants that all children share the land, because the small land is not possible to put on a small land to put a machine, for example. We need also villagization to put the people in the villages in order to liberate the land, and also to consider agriculture as a business opportunity. As Hello?
Yes, Prof, you can, yeah.
I've finished.
Oh, finished, yeah? Okay,
yes.
Thank you for the contribution. I think we have taken note of it, and we'll follow up on that. So any other questions, comments, contributions?
There's a raised hand from Ramain.
Okay. Please go ahead. Is it Romain?
Yes.
Yes, you have the floor, please. Go ahead. Maybe problem of network. Romain, you have the floor. If
another raised hand from Alice.
Alice, yes.
Thank you very much, Professor Juma,
yes,
for this very interesting dialogue. I am asking this question from Roof Forum in Kampala. I was following very closely the discussion on the youth, that the one just before. And I know that Prof did mention that one of the things that could help getting more youth into agriculture is by making agriculture a compulsory course. So now I know that in different educational systems, they sort of try to reserve the first few years, the primary school, for the learners to learn the language, some simple arithmetic, English, and some science. And so I'm wondering, in Burundi, at which point do the learners start to be exposed to subjects in agriculture, and how much is actually done? I know that in the primary schools, sometimes they have what we call the production units, and you could have these young people go in and be involved in producing a few crops for the school, a few tomatoes here and there and so on, maybe for sale at the tuck shop. I also wanted to find out how easy is it to make agriculture a compulsory course, and then at which stage can this be done? Is this in primary school? Is it in secondary school? And so on. Does that require a major shift in the current curriculum that Uganda is offering at different levels? Thank you very much.
Thank you for this question. I think Prof. Ndimubandi can give some elements to respond to this.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Thank you, the lady from Rock Forum. As I know, actually in a new system here at University of Burundi, they tried to I think in the first year or first year, they learn entrepreneurship, but I'm not sure that this includes agriculture. But primary and secondary school education should include modules on farming details, from growing to selling crops. And action like these could help young people see agribusiness as a potential career. But up to now, I'm not sure that they do. We do have vocational training here and there, but I don't think at university level we do have farming modules. I mean, the modules about farming, specifically about agriculture and agribusiness. They do have entrepreneurship, but I'm not sure that they include agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe last comment session for this. Okay, I think we can move to the next presentation, which is my own presentation on perspective on human capital development and research needs for Burundi. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Yes, Prof, we are seeing it.
Okay, so mine is on perspectives on human capital development and research needs for Burundi. I will start by the international context of higher education, which also applies to Burundi. We should know that we are in the knowledge economy society with the rapid development of ICT and the use of ICT in all the processes, including those related to SDGs. That is one element of the context. The second one is that we are implementing the SDGs, and actually the National Development Plan of Burundi is an implementation plan of the SDGs at the national level. So it requires human resources, a critical mass of human resources, qualified. It also requires that we produce research or new knowledge through research and adapt those knowledge to the development using innovation. The last one, and we should not forget it, the COVID-19. COVID-19 and it has forced every higher education, learning system, every country to use increasingly the e-learning processes. So now what has been the response of Burundi with regard to development of human capital and the research? The response of Burundi is made in the National Development Plan for 2018-2027. And if we go to the log frame gives clearly what Burundi is planning to do in relation to human capital development and research. The structure of this log frame is, you can see it is in 5 levels. If you take it hierarchically, you have the strategic orientation, like this, you have 5 in that log frame, 15 line of actions, then you have specific objectives per line of action, you have programs per objective, and then you have projects. So we will see that for this presentation, we are interested only in 2 strategic orientations. Strategic orientation 1, which is developing growth sectors, contains 3 line of actions, and line 1 is development of agriculture, livestock, and strengthening of food security. And here we have the number of specific objectives are there, programs, and we have 18 projects to implement this line of action. And we find that only 2 of those projects are related to capacity building in human resources, professional capacity building of producers and development of private initiatives, and also strengthening basic research in agriculture. These are the 2 main projects out of the 18 which are earmarked for this line of action 1, strategic orientation 1. Now, the other one is strategic orientation 2, which is on developing human capital. This orientation has 4 lines of action, and we are interested in line of action 5, strengthening the education system and improving training offers. So you have also here 3 strategic objectives, programs, 24 projects. And out of these 24 projects, we have just a few which are related to project, to human capital development. And these are promotion of the use of ICT in teaching and learning, very important, but we are not implementing this strategy or this project. Support for strengthening science and technology education is also one of them. Support for technological capacity building in research, capacity building for management, analysis, planning, education system, and so on. Support for capacity building for research centers. And the last one is aligning research themes of the doctoral schools to align them with the country's strategic objectives. So this is what the government of Burundi has planned through the National Development Plan as activity to develop human capital and research. But in addition, so we build on those ones, but there are other elements which are not maybe explicitly highlighted in that log frame, and I would like to come to this. So if you take those elements in the plan, what are the other perspectives for capital development? We have a few of them, at least 3. The first one is implementation of the bachelor, master, doctorate reform. We have an evaluation which started just last week. Hopefully, I'm the chairman of the National Commission for Higher Education. This reform was launched 10 years ago, but this is the first time we are evaluating it with the purpose of aligning the curricula to the needs of the country, but also regional needs and so on. So, for example, for vocational training, This reform tells us that training should take place in 3 poles: in higher education institutions, in enterprises for the issue of employability, and in business incubators for self-employment, particularly through development of entrepreneurship. What some policymakers are proposing is we should just move and support entrepreneurship, but it has been shown that it is better if it goes through business incubators, because they are coached, they are given some capacity before they can start their own enterprises. So, and now in Burundi, the environment is very good. It's very good because at the national level, we are in the process of establishing a national program on economic empowerment and youth employability. Actually, it has been launched last month. Then in the national development plan, there is a project to establish and implement centers of incubation of technological innovations and startups within centers, research centers, and also within supports of excellence in universities. Also, another element which is good for this kind of activities is that there is now a formal establishment of academia, public-private sector partnerships. Actually, the next forum will take place, I think, in less than 1 month, where there is a commitment from the enterprises, from the universities to collaborate, and also to take students, and part of their training will be done in those enterprises, like the dual model in Germany. And also there is a bank, Youth Investors Bank, which is ready to provide loans to young people who are investing in entrepreneurship, preferably after going through processes like incubator, which will give them all the capacity needed to move to those entrepreneurship. The other strategy is establishment of masters and doctoral programs. This is new. I think the masters and program and the PhD program started just a few years ago in 2017. We have now several master programs at the University of Burundi and also in private universities in several areas, and in also area of agriculture. I think University of Burundi has 4 masters, but also other universities, private universities, they have also programs in that. But there is still some challenge. We still have some challenges because the way these programs are being implemented is just, without using any technology, which is not. With that one, we miss a lot of opportunities. For example, collaborating online with the forum, with other universities is still missing. But as you could see, there is a program to improve and encourage implementation of use of ICTs in teaching, learning, and research. So we hope that this will improve also those master's programs. Then there is the doctoral school, which is also training human resources at doctoral level. And here it is in all areas of scholarships. So people will ask, maybe we don't have enough human resources to supervise those students. But the model which was established is coming from a SWOT analysis. We have we have analyzed our weaknesses, our strengths, but also use opportunities to set up a model which is really effective based on increased use of ICTs, international partnerships, and also co-supervision of students. A student will have a supervisor from here, but necessarily another one from outside, not from Europe, but from any other part of the world where we can have experts who will complement what people are doing here. And we try to collaborate with them through the use of ICT, through the use of technology platforms for e-learning, and the student will benefit from supervision of several experts worldwide with expertise recognized at international level. So students are doing well, and currently we have 160 students in PhD in all areas of expertise, and we have already by the end of June, we will have 7 students who will graduate, and we expect that by the end of the year, we'll have another maybe 5 or 10. So currently, the scientific work, the publication produced here in Burundi by the doctoral school are more than those published by the whole University of Burundi. But let me say also that it is not only doctoral school of the University of Burundi. We also have students from Ghana, from DRC, and they are not expected to come and live here in Burundi. We connect with them through those technology platforms and online courses and supervision. So research needs mainly coming from the implementation of the National Development Plan. We see there are several projects there, but some of them need some additional knowledge, new knowledge, to be able to implement them. So some of the research needs are coming from there. They are taken into account in developing curricula for master's programs, but also for PhD. So now, for example, we have this student who made a contribution, Pacific, who is currently in Belgium with his supervisor from outside of Burundi. He is working on climate variability over the East Africa and its impact on agricultural production in Burundi. He is developing a mathematical model. This is why he has 2 supervisors here, Professor Dimubandija for the agricultural part of it, and myself for mathematical model. There is another one working on the coffee-based systems, agroforestry, with Professor Bernadette Abonimana and the University of Rothenburg in Germany. But we are able to take more because we can just mobilize researchers and experts from all other parts of the world and ask them to work with us in supervising the students. Currently, we work with 60 universities and research centers worldwide, not only in Africa, in Europe, in America, in Asia, and so on. So this is, I think, what I would like to say at this stage. We will maybe have some discussion later, and we can provide more information on this. I thank you very much. So before moving to the discussion, we have 2 more presentations. The next presentation will be by the Rector of University of Burundi, Professor Sanctus Niragira, on perspectives on promoting inclusivity and addressing the needs of smallholders, farmers, and marketing opportunities. So, Director, you have the floor for your presentation for 10 minutes. Thank you, sir. You are most welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, dear Professor Juma Shabani. I'm looking where I can share my screen here. Share screen. This one. No. Do like this. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. I don't know if you can see it right now.
Yes, we can see it. We can see it.
Okay, as everybody heard about that, my name is Sanctus Niragira. I work for the University of Burundi. And today I will give a presentation on perspectives on promoting inclusivity and addressing the need of smallholder farmers and marketing opportunities in Burundi. First of all, since the Minister of Agriculture could not send a delegate to give the overview on the agricultural sector and the food security, I can just provide some on the first slide of my presentation. First of all, Burundi is a landlocked country, and also it counts among the underdeveloped countries with a very low GDP, $625 US per capita, and with a problem of population density because we have more than 300 inhabitants per square kilometer. The population growth rate is on average 2.4%, and the economy of the country is mainly based on agriculture. As in Burundi, we have almost 90% of the population living in the rural area. And the agriculture is encompassing 84% of the workforce, providing 95% of the food supply in the food supply, and contributing to around 40% of the overall GDP. Indeed, 80% of the export earnings are coming from agriculture. You see how much agriculture is very heavy in the economic system of Burundi. Yet we have problem of food insecurity, as 44% are living in a food insecure situation, while 62% live under the national poverty line. Here, because I need to talk about the perspectives, let's first give you an overview on the major challenges. Among other challenges that we are facing in Burundi, I can say the demographic pressure on existing resources, the young population, as half of the population is under 17 years old, while 2/3 of the population are under 25 years old. This data was taken from the National Institute of Statistics. We have also another recurrent civil strife that has undermined the stability and the country's economic growth. We have a poorly functioning market like other developing countries. We have a poorly functioning market for everything from labor, land, credit, commodity, risk assurance, and information. The poor market infrastructure, road and equipment, the climate change. As you know, we always experience some erratic meteorological conditions where we experience droughts alternating with period of flood, and that with rainfall filled of hail. There is a degradation of natural resources which impact on the productivity of our natural resources, and then a high rate of youth and unemployment, to end with the COVID-19, as everybody can see it around him in any country of this world today. Let's talk about the challenge in agricultural sector. We start with the demographic pressure. There is a shortage in the agricultural land, and also a low productivity of land and the labor in agriculture, high levels of self-reliance among farm households. Here, farmers, since they do not really trust in the market, there is a trend that they want to ensure themselves that they can produce everything they will need to minimize the dependency, the external dependency in terms of input and output. The limited market incentive for food market or labor market, high dependency on rain-fed in agriculture for livelihood, lack of income generating opportunities outside the agriculture, and the low investment in agriculture due to poverty among farmers and weak incentives. There is a fluctuation in agricultural products in Burundi. At the time of the harvest, you will find that 1 kilogram of beans will cost you 500 Burundian francs. But when it comes the time of sowing, you will find out that the price will be multiplied by 2 or 3. High perishability in agricultural production. The product we produce in Burundi and maybe also in other bordering countries, you know that they are perishable. Therefore, storage infrastructure is necessary. Otherwise, it becomes a very, very big problem. There is a weak agri-food industry, as you heard from my colleague Severi. There is a weak agri-food industry and a lack of sustainable storage system. These are really very, very heavy challenges. There is also a low access to credit for farmers without collateral. This is observed especially for women and youth. When talking about inclusivity, these two categories of people are needed to have some inclusive measures so that they can participate in the food system. So this, I would like to show you a picture, 2 pictures to highlight the traditional agricultural system of Burundi. At the left hand, you see the mixed cropping system. As I said, farmers want to maximize the production while minimizing the risk. If in any case any of these crops do not produce or is attacked by any of the disease, so that he can still rely on the remaining crops. And also on the right hand side, you see the soil that is getting degraded. Among other perspectives, this was taken from some document of the Ministry of Environment, Agriculture and Livestock. There is a sustainability increase in agriculture, animal and fishery production, extending agricultural activities through the valorization of the domanial lands, increasing production and the promoting market access among agricultural actors, institutional strengthening of actors in the sector, and environmental protection. Here I will show you some recommendations we made in the research we made previously. Luckily, this has been considered when we were drafting the National Development Plan from 2018 to 2027. I was among the people who were leading that activities. These are recommendations we made in my PhD, and we took it into account while drafting that important document that will guide the development planning in this country. As you can see, are you hearing me? Hello?
Yes, we are hearing
we can hear you. We can hear you. Please continue.
It is
Thank you very much. I thought
beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. As you can see, the theme of focus, there is a need for strong agricultural research and development with activities related to this, like to increase research activities in different agroecological zones, to renew the crop varieties, because most of the varieties we use need to be renewed thanks that Isabu is following, and also we are collaborating. Most of our crop need to be renewed so that when they want to degenerate. To conduct farmers-driven research, here we have to promote a research that is in line with farmers' real needs. Strong agricultural extension service. You have to encourage to encourage and strengthen pilot farmers, to promote and strengthen farmers' organization, to promote farmers' field school, to promote rural credit system. The third, improve the farmers' access to credit. This is really lacking in Burundi. Thanks to the current government, because they are promoting such activities. I will end at the end. I will talk about this. You have already heard about the Bank for Youth investment. I will come back to this later. Improve the rural market infrastructure. The market infrastructure in Burundi, not only in Burundi, but here is really a big problem because, as I said, you have these roads, this equipment that could be used in cooling, in storing these perishable products such as fruits, animal-based food, and also fish and other things to improve the energy power supply. Today, as this moment I'm talking to you, there are several dams under construction in line with this population density control mechanism. We said that the population can be capitalized in promoting the development of the country. Yet at this time, the population growth is still, I would say, a big challenge because we do not have means that is really able to help beyond this to empower rural women. In Burundi, women are the most involved in agricultural activity, in production, even in feeding the rest of the population, so that they have to be empowered, so that they can give their contribution to increase campaigns on family planning. And 6, improve the land right and the land management system. The land right is not really secured here, and as from the several result of the research, we have seen that if the property, the land property is secured, the investment goes in line with this to promote solidarity between heirs and to encourage and promote the process of villagization so that the population can free up for land for agricultural activity and also the environmental friendly agricultural practices. To promote income generating activities. This is very, very important and necessary in Burundi in order to develop our country and the population. Thanks to the current government, as I will say this later, you come back to this, it is getting promoted. And also to provide incentives to income generating activities with the levy taxes and the duties. Among other activities that were planned in the decennial development plan from 2018 to 2027, in the French is the Plan National de Développement. There is, I just picked some, which are related to agriculture and the development of food system. There is a professionalization of producers and development of private initiatives so that we can foster the public-private partnership. Here, what is being done today is that in any village of Burundi, there is at least one or more agricultural cooperatives. And what is the most interesting is what is that these these cooperatives are getting a yearly governmental loan so that they can invest in their activities. This is actually to boost the entrepreneurship. They are getting every year 10 million Burundian francs in each cooperative. It's around, if I divide by 3,000, it's around 3,000 US dollars every year in each cooperative from the government. And also there is something that we planned, because more recently I have been working for the Bureau of the Strategic Planning at the Presidency of the Republic. There is something that was installed to fix the minimum price guarantee to producers, so that as an incentive for them to increase this, to focus on their activities as they can generate income outside of it. And an example that happened very recently is for maize. For maize, the price was fixed by the government, and everybody who had to sell maize really got the premium price. And we hope that this will encourage them to, will provide an incentive for them to invest more. There is also a plan for other crops like potato, like onion, to take them as a pioneering crops to get the premium price in order to provide an incentive to our agricultural farmers to produce more, to invest in agricultural activities. There is a support for financing, credit, insurance of agricultural activities. This is then the most important things in the perspectives. As you heard from the previous presenters, there is a bank that was created in order to back all those youth that completed their training, who are still unemployed, so that they can get a loan and invest for them to develop and to contribute at the economic, the country's economic development. There is also a bank for women in the framework of inclusivity, because these two categories, as I said before, as I mentioned this before, they are the most vulnerable section of the population, so that they have a special focus from the current government for them to get access to financial systems, so that they can invest, they can develop themselves, they can have a social status, have a say, and contribute to the country development. There is also a special fund that was created in order to help people who cannot access to collateral, to financial means due to lack of collateral. This fund will help them, will provide a guarantee to these two banks so that they can give a loan to people who do not have a lot to use as a collateral. For French speakers, collateral is hypothèque. Activities planned funds. There is also improving the supply system for agricultural input and the amendment. In this line, there is an industry that is manufacturing the fertilizers in Burundi. And today, since some years, today almost all, or at least 70% of the fertilizers and amendments used in Burundi are being produced locally, which is in line with the improvement of the supply system in input for agricultural activities. The processing and the storage of agricultural livestock and the fishery food product, this is not yet done, but I took it from the the Plan National de Développement, there is a plan that in every region they will have a cooling system in order to preserve the production to be actually consumed at any time it is needed. The problem in our agricultural system, sector in Burundi is that there are periods that we have a lot of production, but since these are perishable, it's difficult to keep them to be consumed after 4 months. 4 months, for example. Even for fish, in Lake Tanganyika, they can capture so much fish, but they have to be consumed during that day, or after 1 week, you can find anything because they are highly perishable, which means that this should be a very, very strong focus. There is facilitation of access to the market. In line with the facilitation of the access to the market, I have already said something about it. The local market, to get the premium price, and the guarantee of the premium price, and also there is a step ahead to make to open some foreign market in order to export to agricultural surplus, as we are promoting the increase in agricultural production. And finally, promotion, strengthening, and restructuring organization of agricultural development actors. This is actually underway. As I said, all these cooperatives that will be created in every commune, they have people who are people from the extension service, extension officers that are working with them, helping them to in a capacity building, and also in showing them how they can access to loan, how they can get organized and increase the production. Okay, thank you. That's all I had. I have to talk with you. I say thank you for your attention. Merci.
Thank you very much, Director. Before we move to the next presentation, actually the last but not the least, before we move there, I should like to say that the Director is a well-known researcher in Africa and beyond on food security. But he's also involved in a regional center of excellence here in Burundi, which is known as ANC, East African Nutritional Sciences Institute, which is partly funded by the African Development Bank. So this institute will train, if I remember, 150 masters in nutritional sciences, and 10 PhDs at the doctoral school. The rector is still the responsible for academic activities of that center. So you can see that he's really involved in what is being happening in food systems at the University of Burundi and in Burundi in general. We will now move to the last presentation, not the least, by Professor Willy Marcel Ndaitwayeko, Dean of Faculty of Economics and Management, on perspectives on policy issues needed to strengthen food systems interventions in Burundi. So, Willy Marcel, you have the floor for 10 minutes. Il faut activer le micro et puis vous commencez. OK. Most welcome.
Just wait, I'm coming up. So good afternoon to everyone.
Morning.
Yes, I'm going just to present on policies of food system of Burundi. Do you hear me, please?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to present on policies on food system of Burundi. It's a very, very interesting topic I've been given. I first of all thank the organizer of this dialogue, and I thank also for the University of Burundi to have me the opportunity to talk to this platform. So what I'm going to present are just 3 points, and then I'll be talking summary because I get the topic 2 days ago. So I'm going just first of all to talk about the performance of food system to date. I'm going just to highlight a few and the challenges. And I'm going also to tackle the policies on food system, the effort the government is making to mitigate the food insecurity in a sustainable manner. And lastly, I'm going just to jot an idea on how policy design is very, very big issue in Burundi, and we need to develop one. And that policy will just aiming to boost food and nutrition security. Okay. First of all, as everyone have said, specifically Professor Dimubandi and my rector, in Burundi, the agriculture is contributing about 39% of GDP, providing 84% of employment and 95% of food supply. This is taken from our national development program, which is going to last up to 2027. And production has been on rise thanks to some effort government have made in putting people together in what they call the cooperative, and also in investing a lot in terms of green fertilizer and other effort government have made. But the agricultural productivity has been on decline due, of course, to structural and organizational issues in our country. This low agricultural productivity is due to many problems which has been said on this dialogue. First of all, is about the land availability. Someone has talked about that. And of course, increasing population growth, which has give a lot of pressure to agricultural production activity. And of course, COVID-19, which has put Burundi just outside the global business, because we rely on imports of some agricultural inputs. And to talk about the agricultural performance, we see that the contribution to agriculture of GDP has been going down. And of course, also the total factor productivity has going down up to now. They are not the latest data because it goes up to 2017, 2018. And I know the trend is going down due to several problems that we have heard on this dialogue. And food insecurity, talking about the food system, food insecurity has remained a threat to Burundi, whereby we have got a global hunger index in a very, very alarming point between 35 and 50. We are the least countries which have a higher global hunger index because of all these problems I've said. And also because of there is a disconnection in the food system. By food system, I mean production, processing, and the distribution of food consumption. There is a kind of a problem of connecting the four points of food system. Therefore, production, we have said, is still traditional, and we have some problem of inputs and also training of farmers. For processing, we have heard about our Professor Severin that the agricultural industry is still nascent, still very weak. And the distribution, yes, we have beautiful roads who have been we have been constructed by the government thanks to some donor funders money, but the cost is very high for transporting those kind of products. Food consumption, of course, it is still we are still consuming some processed product, not in a very, very highly processed state of product. So we have also a food imbalances, which has been existing since I've been born or since many years. And this gap, to solve this food imbalances, we have been relying on food trade, especially for some product like rice, wheat, milk, and others. Then we have registered a bottlenecks along the food value chain in many, many products, okay? Which has been due to name one, post-harvest loss. I've said that we are still having a problem of conservation and storage and so on. Even my lecturer have said about it. So this has made it a big issue on the connection in our food system, on the 4 pillars of food system: production, processing, distribution, and food consumption. And the food system, I've said, is still traditional because farmers are still producing, selling in a local market, in a processing form of their products, except of course for cash crops is one which just is produced and go outside the country, and it has to be exported in a very, very form of accepted by international standard. And here I have gone through many decrees and many laws and many regulations that have been created by Burundi. But I found that there is a lack of policy paper on national foods and nutritional paper or regulation. We have gone around all the countries of East Africa. I found some of those countries, they have a national food and nutritional policy. But in Burundi, we don't have it. We have an amalgam of many decrees and the regulation, which has not connected to one another. And we need just to have one full-fledged national food nutrition policy, as I'm going just to talk at the end of this presentation. So to talk about the policies in the food system, the government of Burundi has got an ambition of setting policy and strategy to curb food and nutritional imbalances or issues. And the government have made many decrees, strategies and programs just to respond to some kind of food issues or surge. I may name some few of them. The first one is decree of 169 in 2019. Is the new one. That one was creating an organ called the platform of food security and nutrition. That one is still there, but it's not well structured, and we are still waiting to see its fruit. And you have also another decree. Those are the laws which can stand for policies. Okay, we have another one which is created a new agencies, which was have a responsibility to just manage and put in place a strategic stock framework to avoid these post-harvest losses. Okay, that one has been created. It was been issued in 2018. Then you have the latest, which has my lecturer have presented on some points of it. The National Program for Development, which goes to 28 from 2018 up to 2027. That one, it has some points which tackle how we can mitigate food insecurity, and also how we can make our nutrition to be more secure to many people, because we have a higher level of malnutrition in Burundi. And we have also the latest, another one called Agriculture Strategies 2018-27, also have a number of policies and action on how to manage or to organize the food system in Burundi. So all these are decrees in the program. They are good and very nice, but the problem is implementation. As you know, in Africa, implementation is always an issue. We may have a beautiful policies paper, a beautiful programs, but implementation become another issue, because we found in some parts of Africa, and Burundi included, the government is reluctant to fund those programs and those strategies. Okay, that's the main issue. But having these decrees, they are a kind of not together in one paper and in another paper, but we don't have a full-fledged kind of policies and the laws which can just have to organize and also boost the food system in our country. And as I said, we need a holistic approach to respond to the challenges in the food system. And I have also to mention that there are many donors have contributed just to have a well-organized and also to fund the food system in our country. Here we are pretty for to have FAO, IFED, PAM, or a food program organization, and the UNICEF, UNDP, concerned. So all those are the organization which contributes just to have a very functional food system in my country. So to be in short, here is what I can talk about the perspective of policy of food system in Burundi. We need, first of all, to streamline policies and reinforcing the roles played by cooperative. Now it's a new trend in my country, specifically in the agricultural sector, where there are so many cooperatives created, many cooperatives. Youth are just engaged in opening and creating cooperative in every part of and corners of this country of Burundi. This has to be just to be regarded and streamlined because this absorb many jobless young people, and also it boosts the production, the agricultural production in my country, and also it kind of try just to streamline the food system connection, the value chain of all type of food we produce here in Burundi. And like in East Africa, in my country, in the near future or summer, we need a well full-fledged policy paper on food security nutrition, which is lacking in Burundi because we have so many decrees, which is kind of there and here. Or we need another organ or reform can fund, some can just put together all those legal issues, decrees put together, so we can have one document where we can see all those policies on food system. Of course, we need also a coordinated and a synergistic effort of government and organization intervening in food system, because we can see what PAM is doing is kind of a replication of what another organization is doing. So we need this kind of body we can coordinate all this effort. This has been created newly. This platforms been created by the government of Burundi, but this we are still waiting the function or the implementation or what has been suggested in this platform, the platform on food security. So we need just to have this kind of platform working, because we just pull all the efforts done by many NGOs and other UN agencies in the agricultural sector, which are the main effort. The main goal is just to make the food system working very well. Thank you so much. At the end of my presentation, and thank you also the chairman for giving me this occasion to talk to you.
Thank you, Willie Marcel. This was clear. Now, according to the program, we'll have 10 minutes for discussion, questions, before we move to the summary of emerging issues and then closing remarks. So the floor is open for questions, comments, contributions. We have 10 minutes for that. Marcel, tu peux arrêter de partager?
Oui, je vais le faire.
Yes, questions, comments?
Chair, I have a small question. Chair.
Yes, go on.
Maybe Juma has a problem with internet connection.
Okay.
Yes, Prof.
He's back. Eh?
He's back. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Prof, I have a related question really to, have you done an analysis of the status of science, technology, and innovation in Burundi, so that you could guide some of the things that you are doing? And then I would like the last speaker to still elaborate on the last point. He was talking of producing a synthesis policy paper or something of the sort. If you could elaborate a little bit what he has in mind.
No, we have not done that. There is, maybe it was done some years ago, some years back, maybe 5, 6 years, because there was a national policy on science, technology, and research, which ended 2 years ago. There is so now we need to start the process, and I think this will be done by the National Commission for Science, Technology, and Innovation. So we still need to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Chair, should I intervene? Yeah, thank you so much, Prof. Adipala. What I meant by a policy paper on food security, nutrition security, I mean just to a paper which bring together all the decrees and also the ministerial policy issues, which can put together to form a kind of one document where we can just refer to where we found all the policies on our food system. Because now we have decrees, we have all which has just in different ministries, some of the Ministry of Agriculture. So we need just to have one policy paper, which are the same policy paper we found to other countries like our neighbors there. Okay, because strategies are just to show how we are going to implement those policies, but we need a kind of a full-fledged legal framework on how we can just make our food system functioning very well. Thank you.
Thank you. That is very helpful.
Yes. Thank you very much. So, any other comments, questions?
Hello.
Yes.
I am Professor Severin. I want to bring a comment on the policies.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
As Marcel come to say, the majority of these legal texts are inconsistent, while normally their synergies and complementarity are necessary to be more effective. And also the enforcement, their enforcement is very difficult in Burundi. For example, if we have, we have 3 ministers who have to apply for this enforcement. There is really a big problem to come over this problem. So the enforcement of these policies is very difficult. This is one comment on the policies. And I want to come to the question given before, the question from Misago Alois, who say that the technical problems for agriculture, we focus on the technical problems and there is also a matter of cultural change. I think that if we go along the agriculture whole value chain, there is the production, there is the processing, and the marketing. And in the marketing, we focus really on the quality management. And if we say the national infrastructure quality, there is normally six pillars. The first is standardization. The second is the technical regulation. The third is the accreditation, the conformity assessment. In the conformity assessment, we can just divide in inspection, analysis, and testing, and also the certification. But we can put the promotion of quality in the quality culture among these pillars of quality. This is to say that he asked if we can put the cultural change in the program. I think that we can give enough time to explain this cultural change is included in infrastructure quality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Still have time for one or two comments, questions. If not, then we move to the next session, which is presentation of a summary of emerging issues and recommendations. And this will be done by Professor Majaliwa from the forum. Prof. Majaliwa, you are welcome.
But Prof,
yes,
don't you mind we share our presentation with, I don't know, the one who, it's not necessary or?
To share with the forum?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Because now you see what he'll present is really what he was able to capture, but to make it for the final summary and recommendation, he needs to also work using our presentation. So we should send all the presentation to within, I think we have her email address, and Prof. Majaliwa. So this is a preliminary one, and they will produce another one. So you are right, Rector, yes.
Ok, Prof. Je peux maintenant partager?
Oui, vous pouvez, oui.
Ok. C'est pas ça. Attendez, s'il vous plaît. Je vais juste réduire certaines présentations pour me permettre de... Ok, je vais partager maintenant. Ok, merci beaucoup les modérateurs pour me permettre de faire une petite synthèse de ce que j'ai pu capturer pendant toutes les présentations. J'ai été fasciné par les orateurs et leurs présentations. C'est sûr que je n'ai pas pu probablement prendre tous les éléments, mais voilà les éléments que j'ai pu capturer. J'ai commencé par la réunion de la présentation du prof Adipala, qui a parlé de la création du Forum par les recteurs, avec sa mission, notamment de créer un réseau sur la mobilisation des ressources et les plaidoyers, mais aussi la formation des professionnels de grand calibre. Et il a aussi parlé de l'évolution du Forum depuis 2004 à 2021. Il a parlé de la présence du Forum au Burundi, les rationnels du sommet de l'ONU pour la sécurité alimentaire. Et qu'est-ce que nous attendons de ces sommets? Les processus du sommet et la feuille de route, les guides de consultation, mais aussi il a parlé des espérances de ces sommets, y compris la possibilité d'écrire un petit article ou un livre sur les systèmes alimentaires au Burundi. Ce qui est ressorti de la présentation du lecteur d'Elisabeth, il a parlé de la sécurité alimentaire au niveau du Burundi et les facteurs qui l'influencent, y compris les changements climatiques, les ressources humaines. Et il a dit que l'agriculture est restée traditionnelle avec des méthodes traditionnelles, alors que la population, elle, augmente. Il pense qu'il faudrait changer les systèmes agricoles et renforcer par la recherche, mais aussi relancer le développement. Il a parlé d'un besoin d'une unité de coordination dans la recherche agricole. La question des rémunérations est ressortie, les rémunérations restant faibles, et adapter l'agriculture en rapport au changement climatique et adopter une agriculture commerciale. Pour le prof Bernadette, elle a aussi souligné les conditions socio-économiques, la dépendance de l'agriculture et de la démographie du Burundi et la destruction des écosystèmes à cause de surpâturage, des défrichements anarchiques, et si couplés au changement climatique. Elle a souligné la dégradation de l'environnement et les changements climatiques, le fait que les deux étaient liés, et les implications sur les développements économiques. Pour les sous-secteurs agricoles, et la proposer des bonnes pratiques des eaux et des sols, soutenir les stratégies d'adaptation et de réduction des gaz à effet de serre, la production et distribution des semences de qualité, la recherche sur les cultures adaptées et les changements climatiques. Pour les sous-secteurs élevage, elle a souligné entre autres la formation des éleveurs et personnels de soutien, mais aussi la promotion de l'élevage des petits ruminants. En termes de mise en œuvre, il a mentionné que le gouvernement est en train de faire plusieurs actions à travers plusieurs plans, mais aussi les ONG qui soutiennent les actions, les autres parties prenantes qui soutiennent les actions du gouvernement. Pour le prof Séverin, il a aussi discuté les statuts actuels des pertes de récoltes. Ainsi, il a dit que d'une manière générale, la situation est au bas de l'échelle à cause de plusieurs barrières. Il y a des problèmes de techniques de transformation qui sont encore rudimentaires et les pertes économiques sont énormes. Il a aussi parlé du besoin de politiques et de réglementations pour minimiser les pertes. Comment on peut le faire? Il pense qu'il faut stimuler l'investissement dans les secteurs et développer des industries agricoles et activer l'exécution de la réglementation. Il pense aussi qu'il faudrait développer l'infrastructure de contrôle et stimuler la participation du secteur privé pour investir dans les secteurs. Le prof Jean aussi a souligné l'importance de l'agriculture et le secteur agro-business pour le développement économique. Il a mentionné les défis liés à l'agriculture, l'agronomie, les climats et les autres facteurs socio-économiques. Le fait que les rendements sont restés faibles et les parcelles cultivées sont de petite taille. Il a parlé des opportunités, entre autres l'urbanisation rapide qu'on observe au Burundi. En termes de participation des jeunes, il a souligné des barrières, notamment la mentalité négative sur l'agriculture, les défis des formations et les vieillissements de la population. En termes de solutions, il pense qu'investir dans les jeunes en termes de capacitation technique et les financements du secteur serait une parmi les solutions, mais aussi mettre l'agriculture un cours obligatoire. Pour les perspectives de capacitation, le prof Djouma a souligné les contextes, notamment le développement rapide de l'ICT, les besoins d'exécuter les objectifs de développement durable, avoir un nombre critique des individus pour démarrer ces processus, mais aussi produire de la connaissance humaine. En termes de réponse, il a souligné que le Burundi a un plan de développement 2018-2027 et il est parti au cadre logique pour montrer les différentes orientations qui pourraient être utilisées dans les secteurs agricoles et renforcer les capacités. Il a aussi mentionné qu'il y a déjà une situation plus ou moins positive au Burundi. L'environnement est très bon, certaines innovations sont faisables, la collaboration des universités est possible et autres parties prenantes, y compris l'établissement des programmes de maîtrise et de doctorat au niveau de l'Université du Burundi. En termes de défis, il dit que certains de ces programmes ne sont pas exécutés en ligne. En termes de recherche et publication, il a montré les progrès de l'école doctorale au Burundi, la présence de plusieurs étudiants étrangers, les nombres un peu élevés, plus ou moins élevés de publications au niveau de l'école doctorale par rapport à l'ensemble, au reste de l'université, mais plusieurs recherches aussi sont en cours et il a mentionné qu'il y a à peu près plus ou moins 60 collaborations entre l'école doctorale et d'autres partenaires. En termes de promotion de l'inclusivité, le recteur de l'Université du Burundi a mentionné les contextes de publication, y compris le faible PIB. Non, il a souligné plutôt les contextes socio-économiques du Burundi en termes de PIB, démographie élevée et une grande croissance démographique, à peu près 40% de la contribution de l'agriculture en termes du PIB, mais aussi 60% de la population est sous la barre de pauvreté. Il a mentionné plusieurs défis, mais j'ai pu retenir certains, y compris la pression démographique sur les ressources naturelles. La population est très jeune, faible taux d'emploi, la désorganisation du marché, les changements climatiques avec les épisodes des inondations et puis la dépendance à la pluviométrie en termes d'agriculture, les faibles investissements en agriculture, mais aussi la fluctuation des prix. Parmi les défis toujours, il y a le système de stockage qui est quasi non fonctionnel et en termes d'agriculture, il a souligné que l'agriculture restait mixte pour les paysans, en fait, pour réduire les risques de production. La terre est très dégradée. On observe une expansion horizontale de l'agriculture. En termes de recommandations, il a souligné plusieurs aussi, mais j'ai retenu certaines, y compris les besoins de recherche dans diverses zones agroécologiques et orienter, disons, résoudre les problèmes des paysans, accéder aux semences, améliorer les infrastructures des marchés, améliorer la provision énergétique, faire de la densité de la population une opportunité et sensibiliser les acteurs agricoles à l'utilisation des bonnes pratiques culturelles, mettre sur pied des mesures incitatives pour les agriculteurs en termes d'assurance, des crédits ou des fonds spéciaux. Pour Marcel, il a parlé des performances et défis et comme le recteur, il a souligné que l'agriculture contribuait approximativement à 40% du PIB. La production la production est en croissance, même si les rendements sont en déclin. On voit qu'il y a un investissement dans les engrais. La disponibilité des terres est un problème, mais aussi Covid-19 est aussi un autre problème. La contribution de l'agriculture au PIB est aussi en train de décliner et il y a une discontinuité dans les systèmes alimentaires, un déséquilibre dans l'alimentation, y compris l'importation et le stockage, mais aussi les systèmes est resté traditionnels. En termes de politique, il a observé qu'il n'y a pas de régulation sur la nutrition dans un seul document et quelquefois, les documents qui existent, qui réglementent cet aspect sont contradictoires. Plusieurs décrets sont disponibles pour résoudre les défis qui existent. Sur le plan national, il y a un plan national de développement, mais il y a aussi une stratégie agricole. Il a mentionné qu'il existe la présence de décrets et de régulations est une bonne chose, mais qu'il y a toujours un problème d'exécution de ces politiques. En termes de recommandations, il a souligné qu'il faudrait une approche holistique et faire une attention particulière sur les coopératives en création à travers le pays. Et puis, le besoin d'un document consolidant toutes les politiques sur les systèmes alimentaires et les besoins d'une coordination dans ces secteurs. Je crois que ce sont là les quelques éléments, Prof. Djouma, que j'ai pu retenir. Aussitôt que j'aurai les présentations de collègues, je pourrai les rendre plus solides et les partager avec vous. Merci beaucoup pour ce dialogue que vous avez bien mené. Merci.
Merci, professeur Majaliwa, pour cette synthèse. Comme promis, chaque collègue va vous envoyer la présentation pour contribuer à renforcer ce résumé. Donc, nous allons le faire dès qu'on termine cette réunion parce que nous avons et l'adresse de Majaliwa et de Wivin Aditya. Nous pouvons leur envoyer les présentations pour renforcer le résumé des recommandations. Nous allons maintenant passer à la dernière présentation de cette ou séance de cette consultation. We are moving now to closing remarks by Professor Adipala. But maybe before that, I should like to ask him if he could give us some idea on the book, including maybe the deadline and also the format for presentation, so that we can start this exercise as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Professor Djouma, colleagues from Burundi and all participants attending this meeting, this has been an extraordinary review of the status of food systems in Burundi, which has also informed us potentially of what could be the situation with other countries. This is actually the first national dialogue that we are participating in. So thank you very much, Professor Djouma and colleagues in Burundi for accepting to undertake this assignment. Permit me to just make remarks on a few points that may have already been said by Professor Majaliwa, but just for my own sake, some of the issues that caught my attention. One, the issue of land fragmentation and really the high population growth rate and its implication, I think to me caught my attention, and it's something that we needed to address. And relatedly, the issue of dealing with the youth population, I think is something that is confronting not only Burundi, but I think more or less throughout sub-Saharan Africa. It's a major, major issue. There was also the issue of climate change and variability that I think was alluded to in the earlier presentation, and the needed responses that needs to be done. There was also the issue of promoting agriculture as a business and the issue of business incubation. Professor Juma, you highlighted about the agribusiness hub at the University of Burundi. And I think possibly we will need to explore how to expand such opportunities. I think the other key discussion has been on the policy framework and strategies. And with the last presentation focusing on how we could put together the various instruments, I think that is something that we would need to look at. I also appreciated very much your interjection, Professor Juma, especially when your colleagues were talking and their roles, what they are doing, and also the partnerships that they are involved in. That was very, very enriching. Now, based on that, I think there are a number of issues that caught my attention that perhaps the forum needs to explore further with the team in Burundi. One is partnership to support human capital development in Burundi still remains a critical issue. And related to it, what the DG, the Director General of ISABU mentioned, the issue of strengthening research, whatever he was saying, building research capacity, I think will remain a very important facet of what we need to do together. I think we will need to explore how we expand some of those enterprise schemes, including the forum recaps that you have at the University of Burundi. But also two issues came up that I think we needed to explore. First, I raised the issue really because of the caliber of the presentations that we work towards developing a book, actually publishing a book. I would like to follow this up with you, Professor Juma and the rector, and also the colleagues in ISABU and the rest, that I think this is something that we need to work on. I would also like to follow up with the colleague that talked about the synthesis policy paper or putting everything together. I think that is an area that I would like us to follow up on. The other element, I think Professor Juma and all colleagues from Burundi, we need to mobilize resources to support the research and development activities in Burundi. And I see two possible opportunities. One, there's the French call that is out. And I think, Professor Juma, you need to work with colleagues and to see how Burundi can strategically respond to the French call for proposals. It is open to different levels, starting from fresh PhD graduates to well-established research teams. So I think we should explore that. The second is something that I shared sometimes back, but I don't think much was done. The issue of a possible proposal from the Burundi government on strengthening human resource and research capacity in Burundi. I think I would like to share that back, and you review it and explore if there's interest in Burundi on that. Then finally, what are the next key steps? I think the first one you have already alluded to, and I thank the director for raising that, is that kindly do share the slide presentations that you made with us so that it can inform us and help us in preparing a summary report. The second and extremely important, with or without report, I call upon you colleagues in Burundi to prepare a brief position statement for consideration by the Burundi government for communicating to the United Nations General Assembly. I would also want you to perhaps use part of that statement for presentation by your minister during the African ministers meeting, so that you spell out the position of Burundi with respect to the issues of actions needed to strengthen food systems in Burundi, but also since Burundi is part of Africa, also for us in Africa, and what sort of action do we need from global partners. I also appeal to you, through you, that you request the technical experts from the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Agriculture to participate in the meeting that will take place on Thursday, 27th of this month, where we will be presenting highlights of what are the emerging issues and what would be some of the key messages that African ministers should consider. Subsequently, on the 9th of June, as I have mentioned, there will be a meeting of African ministers. Again, I would like to appeal through you that you kindly request your Minister of Agriculture and, if possible, of Higher Education also to participate. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my colleagues at the Reform Secretariat, we extend our most sincere gratitude to all the colleagues who have participated from Burundi. It's been a beautiful presentation. We have learned a lot. Also, thank all participants from wherever they are for their input and contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.